JT, I did not know if you were there or not. I tried saying hi, and I think I was just talking to myself for a second.
You're all good. You're all good.
Happy Sunday, everyone. I'm doing this on a different day just because I didn't really have time this week to do any streaming. I was very, very busy, so I had to kind of push it back. But it's okay because the good news is that, well, actually, I don't even know if this is good news. We have one more episode.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, but the hype is definitely real for the finale. Usually, Star Wars shows, even if they're quote unquote bad, have some bangers of a finale. So,
I gotta hold on. I gotta bring up my screen really fast before I forget. We're gonna look at that pretty poster first for now before I bring everything else up. But we get to talk about two different episodes. We get to talk about this recent one, episode 7, but we also get to talk about episode 6 because I didn't get to talk about that one. So there's a lot to talk about. For starters, Thrawn.
Yeah.
We got him.
That's the big guy right there. He's the one everyone's hyping up for. And he looks perfect.
He's just
so good.
See, for me, like, I know that this show's been great. It's my TV that doesn't want to be so great to me because I'm using an older TV right now. So, like, poor Disney is trying to play the show, and it's just like I have to kind of give it a minute, otherwise it gets really choppy and like laggy. And I know that this but I know it's good because once it starts working like well, like everything is so smooth, everything is perfect. I gotta bring this picture up for a second. Let me see if I can just I need it to be much more clear than that, but it's fine. I'm gonna give me a minute. Give me 1 second. Let me just
Oh,
it's perfection.
Dude. Now,
Like,
when I was watching that, when I saw that for the first time, I just wanted to like reach out, grab it, like Force Unleash. When you see
since
the
we're
Star
diving
Destroyer
in,
heading straight at
sorry.
you, yeah.
Since we're diving in, everyone, I hope you've seen these episodes already. Definitely this one, because this one already has been out, and I'm sorry, I just was behind.
If you haven't been caught up, I don't know why you're even watching this episode.
If you haven't watched it, high key recommend. I'm not saying this because I'm a shill or anything. I will say how I feel, and I've been completely honest about how I felt towards other shows in the past with Disney and with Star Wars and stuff. For me, this show by far has been like perfection. Just I don't have words. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, there's no. It is perfectly in between too. Like there is no show that Disney has created that is 100% bad because even everybody that hates Book of Boba Fett or whatever can find some diamonds in the rough. I mean, live action
Right.
Cad Bane, he looks sweet.
Yeah. Like there's definitely like favorite moments.
Yeah, there's nothing's 100% wrong, and nothing's definitely 100% good either. But Ahsoka for me is definitely like that kind of Mandalorian season 1 feeling where it's just like fresh, good writing. A lot of the visuals are stunning.
Please don't ruin it. Nah, I don't. I have some pretty. I'm not sitting there saying like I'm gonna have high expectations and all that. Like I for me, I just kind of went into this like not saying that I don't really care per se, but just not really like thinking about it.
Okay.
And that's what made it more enjoyable. I'm not sitting there going like, let me read every little thing out there that's going to happen or potentially happen or yada yada yada. I was like, okay, I saw the trailer, loved it. I was super excited as it was already to know that they were like going to do a show for this, and we kind of already had an idea it was going to happen as soon as we saw her in season 2 of Mando.
Mm-hmm.
But like I don't know. I don't know. It's refreshing, I guess.
Well, I was, far from that. I was very hyped because, being a prequel kid, growing up and watching the prequels and then having something like the Clone Wars to, grow up watching every single episode, before even 2008, like just sitting and watching like the Tartakovsky 2003 Clone Wars, like waiting forever just to get 3 minutes of a short, and then they finally
Yeah.
volumed them together. That was super dope to go through. But yeah, growing up quite literally with Ahsoka, and then, man, seeing her in episode 5, that Clone Wars flashback is still hitting me so hard. It's everything I wanted, and everybody has their own Star Wars. They all have their own wants and needs, but man, ever since I seen Revenge of the Sith, I was like, man, we need more Anakin. And then I see the Clone Wars. I'm like, dude, if we get a live action Clone Wars, we thought we were gonna get it in Kenobi. Nah, we thought we were, gonna get this and that. Order 66 was probably, their piece of cake that they keep coming back to take a slice of and throw into their new show. But man, the way they nailed Anakin in his Clone Wars armor showed the scaling of like her
I could have met him.
up. And that was just the icing on the cake too, because the Ahsoka is a banger already. Like, was it episode 4? I think was the one where she fights Balin and Sabine fights Shin in the forest with Marok and all that. Like that fight was already cool, and then you get that little thing at the end with Anakin. Hey, Snips! Holy, dude!
I almost kind of sorry.
You're good.
I almost kind of forget like that was episode 4 because like I don't know, it's just like there's so much progression, and that's kind of what I liked about it. It's like each episode you get into, there is going to be progression.
Yeah. Well, the visuals are stunning on top of that too. I mean,
that too. Like, look at that. Look at that ship. Look at its beauty.
But being hyped up for Ahsoka already as is. I mean, that picture of her, that poster that you just had up a second ago. I was at London Celebration with Strike and Avela and all of them, and they showed that at the panel, and that was more hype on top of already what I was feeling. So every single week, it's going on the watch party and just seeing everything for the first time with your friends is that's what I'm here for. That's the feeling.
It's so great.
And for the show to be, good on top of it, like all of us are mutually agreeing, like, dude, this is awesome.
How do I? Sorry, I'm trying to switch my screen really fast.
It's your show.
Okay, well that took it off. I'm not prepared for this. I act like I'm good with technology, but I'm not.
I do have my gripes about the show, however, with like Sabine going down the Jedi path, I guess. Like she's trying to, use a lightsaber and use the Force a little bit, but
I brought up Easter eggs to go through too.
Oh yeah, let's dive into it.
But yeah, I mean, like I have small little things that I'll sit there and go, okay, like that could have probably been done better, or like that probably could have been a little different, but that's just me being me and just like saying like, oh, that's just a little like detail that I'm pointing out. Overall though, the quality of this show has by far been like, you obviously know where they're spending their money.
For sure. Look at the size of that thing. That's right. That's what I'm talking about, Stanley's.
So episode 6, we see very like kind of briefly, at the beginning we see Ahsoka and Huyang hanging out in the hanging out with the space whales.
Yep,
I love calling them that. I don't know why, but I love calling them that.
With the iconic like Bifrost rainbow travel glow.
Yeah, that was something I noticed. I was like, huh, I wonder why they did that.
Yeah, the Purgles have a different hyperspace, so I guess they see different too.
I guess so. I guess. I thought it was, I wasn't like mad about it, but I just kind of noticed it like, oh, it's a different effect than what they normally do for hyperspace travel. But
yeah, I mean, even when watching Rebels, I thought the Purgles were pretty cheesy, but they're slowly starting to grow on me.
I loved them. I thought it was funny because my boyfriend noticed it like a little bit like quicker than me, and kind of like was just it was something he was able to recognize when he saw, like once he saw them, he was like pointing out like Star Wars lore, and I'm just looking at him like
this is too majestic to
I was like, I love that we can talk about
like even all the good theories you throw out there, but then there's like stupid silly theories that still have like the ability to become real. Like how will Ahsoka get to Thrawn? Oh, it's the whales. Who would have known?
It was kind of a thing, like we kind of saw it coming, but at the same time it was like there were so many different opportunities or paths that she could have taken, so it wasn't like it was, sorry, my dog's asleep right next to me. He just like he's having a dream. But I mean, it's like you kind of know it's gonna happen, but at the same time, there's different things that she could have done so many different like ways. So it's like it's not like it's impossible, but it's not like it's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this was interesting. Hu Yang was talking to Ahsoka at the beginning, like, "Hey, do you want to hear a story?"
Oh, that could have threw us in another flashback. We were so waiting for that, and we're like, oh, and then it goes into.
But I mean, at the same time, it was like, okay, I can see why this episode was like just that little snippet of her before it really kind of changed to focus more on, okay, we're finally gonna see Thrawn. We're gonna see,
Yeah.
we're gonna see the bad guys now. We're
Well,
gonna go on their side.
that's the nice, dynamic part of the story. Like they have the good guys, they're trying to get to the bad guys, and they're finally fusing those two
It
parts
doesn't feel
together.
repetitive, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a nice kind of contrast between each episode.
It's predictable, but it's not obnoxiously predictable. Like
Right.
Ahsoka's gonna get to the planet. She's traveling via space whale. We just don't know how it's gonna be when she finally gets there. What kind of interactions she's gonna have with the villains. So like all of this should be running in your mind.
And it's also somewhere that none of them have ever been to before.
Yeah.
So they don't know the environment. They don't know what it's going to look like when they get there. It's
Mhm.
kind of like you said, it's a little predictable in the sense that, okay, we know she's obviously going after them, but we don't really know a lot more than that.
Yeah, but I mean, even introducing like the new planets, because nobody knows what this I think it was called Peridia, is
Mhm.
the other galaxy planet. We're thinking like is this gonna be like a basic planet, or is it gonna be like another Mustafar? I mean, think of how many planets in Star Wars, especially in the prequels, are so
We've seen
dynamic and
enough of
different.
Tatooine, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
like another sand planet. But I mean, I would say I was surprised when I was seeing the space scene. They're like, oh, it's like a cool like Saturn. They got the asteroid belt, and they get closer, and Hu Yang's like, no, it's a graveyard, and it's dead whales. Like,
I was like, okay, this is the end of the line.
yeah, Thrawn's got a minefield too, which is pretty cool.
Which we're gonna go into as well, because that's episode 7. We also found out Purdy is the homeworld of the Night Sisters, which was interesting. I want to say this for starters though, I did really like seeing these characters show up. They are known as, sorry, I gotta pull it up, the Great Mothers.
Yeah, the Great Mothers, and they have the
Um,
same like echoey resonance voice that Mother Talzin actually has in the Clone Wars, where it's like a two-tone.
I thought it was interesting too because the something that I saw in this was that they were supposed to be based on Greek mythology right here, which it didn't really surprise me because they had the thread of destiny or whatever, which I swear they've done this trio like a ton of times before in like other
Yeah,
things.
I
So,
said it during the watch party. I'm like, it's hard not to think of like Clash of the Titans or like Hercules when
yeah.
especially in Clash of the Titans when you got the three blind witches and they're all sharing the eye. Even how
Mhm.
they talk, about Sabine, they're like, "There's a Jedi amongst you. It is dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? What is it?" And they're like sharing the eye, like and they're referring to things as it, or like they don't know. They're like, "What?
Don't get me wrong though,
Behind
I
you."
thought they looked cool.
Oh, they're definitely like
It's Star Wars
headcanon. They're
version.
first Night Sister on screen. I know Morgan Elsbeth is technically a Night Sister, but you got to get the full get up, like the robes they're wearing and the face paint is that's what makes a Night Sister. That's the
They
cool
look
part.
so creepy. Like every time I see them walk up in a scene, I was just like, oof,
Yeah,
that's cool.
it's the blacked out eyes too.
That just the whole look is just like evil. Evil. It also talks about how they were like exiled there. I'm
Yeah,
not super like I not super familiar with like the story, like the Night Sister stuff, but I think it's really cool. Like I know of like shoot, I'm trying to think of her name now, and I lost it.
Asajj Ventress?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. I was
Mind
like, wait.
reading.
I was like, wait, it's the most like known, well-known name that people like obviously know when you say.
Yeah, the
I was
Night
like,
Sister.
yeah. But I thought this was cool because yeah, I was like, okay, they've basically just been here this whole time with Thrawn.
Well, it's I like it because it's still not very known to the public exactly everything about Night Sisters. Like they still leave it pretty ambiguous.
Hmm.
Like what kind of magics they can use. We know they can like summon an imbued like green flame sword. Uh, um, those like balls, whatever that like the triangle, they can
Oh yeah,
zoom
those
in anywhere around the planet and like Eye of Sauron.
thread
Like
of
I see
destiny.
you, yeah. So they're really powerful. And for them to be ancient too, it really leaves your mind running. Like, what more can they do?
Hmm.
And for them to just be on this other galaxy like planet. I believe it even says like they rode the space whales as well, the Purgles.
Yes, it says right here the Night Sisters were the first to learn how to travel between the galaxies on Purgle.
Yeah, and that's cool too because when you think of like the galaxy that actual like known Star Wars is taking place in, we'll take the Anakin Skywalker Vader storyline, I guess, like the main movies. Um, you see them in the Clone Wars, and then you see them in Fallen Order. Marin's also in Survivor. I mean, there's a lot of Night Sister references, Rebels, but it's never like truly 100% dove into. Like they just kind of in the show and they're known, but it's still like left up in the air. But I don't mind that this would be like an F1 Night Sister planet or something like that. You know, they got the obelisk towers with like they're like carved, like their mouths are like gaping open with their headdresses built into the stone and all that.
To
Very
me,
creepy.
what I find fascinating is just that with this show in particular, they've really had the chance to explore other parts of Star Wars that have never been told, like that haven't been told in live action or really in television or any of that at all.
Yeah.
So getting to see them expand on the Night Sisters and seeing them show up and also helping Thrawn and seeing it also connect to the rest of the shows that we've seen, Mandalorian, for example. It's really
Yeah.
cool to see. There's a lot more in episode 7 too that I definitely want to talk about because there was something Thrawn mentioned in particular that kind of caught my attention that I'm gonna have to kind of go digging through the episode for in a minute.
Okay.
Because I don't know.
It's
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But my theories so far that I've talked about Legends content so far have been pretty spot on.
Yeah, I mean, even
So
Thrawn, like having the same voice and mannerisms, you know, it's kind of a slap in the face of Star Wars fans when they see the Rise of Skywalker, and you can see, oh, Palpatine returned. This is everything that was in like Dark Empire, you know, the comic book series where he cloned him and he came back. There's a reason that stays in comic book continuity. Is because it defeats the purpose of Anakin being the chosen one, destroying the Sith, redeeming. You know, he can't just come back. Um, so it's like taking stories and stuff that already exist and being respectful to them, not changing them to the point where it's like a Frankenstein story, like it's taking pieces of this and this and that, and it's kind of disrespecting, you know, main storylines. But like something like Thrawn, like they're nailing. He's even got a chessboard in episode 7, you know. So
I just love seeing him. I've enjoyed him so much. Um, something I also thought was cool was Sabine getting to ride a howler.
yeah,
Me and my boyfriend were actually very big fans of the howler. I thought it was just we just kept saying like that's a big doggo, that's a big hecking good floof trying to hang out.
trying to hang. He got scared.
mainly because I'm sitting there wondering if they did the same thing that they did with Mandalorian, where they did use dogs for like the CGI and stuff for the little creatures and stuff in the first season. I don't know about the last two seasons what they've done, but I know that they use like German shepherds. So I kept sitting there thinking like, I wonder what they did to create the howler, because it would have been really cool if it was just a big dog or something.
Yeah. I mean, Stanley says that the architecture is very Lord of the Rings inspired. I was thinking about the Two Towers, Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers, that entire, these entire two episodes, because the Night Sisters, like when they first land there, and you get the wide shot of the temple, I guess the Night Sister temple, it looks very similar to Minas Tirith from Return of the King. And even the landscape looks like Two Towers, with like the New Zealand like rocky tall grass, like dried up. And then you get the howlers too. They look just pretty similar to the wargs, like when Aragorn gets thrown off the cliff. So there was a lot of that, and even Ahsoka the White. I mean, come on, it's as a fan of Lord of the Rings, I approve. So
See if I can sorry, I'm gonna see if I can bring it up. It's give me 1 second.
You're all good.
I'm like, come on, Disney. Work with me.
I was kind of indifferent about the howlers though. I mean, it was cutesy and I liked seeing them, but I don't think I would go back and rewatch Star Wars to see the howlers stuff.
Let's just watch this really fast. I'm gonna play a couple seconds. Just I hope y'all can hear this. And I'll pause it in a minute. Look at how amazing. Hold on, maybe it has to go up a little bit more. Just can we talk about this? Like, just that whole scene, like, just starting from Sabine in the little like prison cell kind of thing. She starts kind of seeing the shadows, feeling it like move around. She's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
She's looking out and she's like, that's not good.
The Chimera is also pretty torn up. Those whales put a number on the.
I don't care. I don't even care how torn up it looks. It just looks perfect.
And the scale of it too. Like a lot of people forget the scale of a Star Destroyer. You see the full thing. You see it pull up and then you lower into the hangar.
Yeah, let me see if it'll. Don't copyright me, please, YouTube. Look at how massive it is.
They're just little dots. They are little dots at the top of that tower right now.
Dude, I'd be terrified looking up at that thing. I'd just be like, nope, I'm out. I don't work here anymore.
Yeah, that's
Oh. It looks so cool though. I will say they've done a really phenomenal job on the CGI with this show.
Oh man, like when they lower into that hangar too, like you feel immersed. Like you could almost be standing at the top of that tower.
Even like the close-up shots, like of them kind of walking back and forth, like onto the ship and onto the tower and stuff. Yeah. Those close-up shots, it feels like you're watching a movie with these episodes.
I would hate to fall off that bridge that connects the ship to the tower. That'd be terrible. You're one of those poor night troopers that are loading up those caskets.
Let me see.
Look at that. That's like a. that's like a I don't know 80-foot bridge, something like that connects.
Look how small they are. Oh my god.
He's like, don't look down. Don't look down.
Like, look at it. It's just freaking massive.
That is cool. I don't even mind that Peridia looks, a lot like Earth, because there's so many different like elements in the these two episodes that have just wow. And the night troopers.
I thought they looked so cool. That was something I wanted to point out as well, because I've seen people kind of back and forth online between this. Personally, I really love the way they look. I really like the red, whatever the bands, whatever they are, all
it's like Night Sister garments, yeah.
Yeah, and then the gold kind of too. It's just they look so different and cool, and for me, these look more terrifying than normal stormtroopers.
Yeah, and they're all just quiet. Like
Yeah.
you don't hear them communicating either. Like you hear them scream, when in episode 7 when they're fighting or whatever. But Captain Enoch, everyone's like, I think more impartial and just more on the negative side of how he looks because of the faceplate being like a Roman gladiator one.
I think
But
it looks cool.
yeah, I think I like it, and it gives like a metallic voice. I think he's like a zombie or something underneath there to help him speak. He's got like a
Like,
vocabulator in there.
to
But
me, it's like people always we all make the running jokes of how stormtroopers are. They're not very menacing. They can't aim for crap. They're stormtroopers. We always make fun of them. But then we get Thrawn's army, and they are so well organized. They're menacing. They
yeah,
look terrifying. And y'all are going to complain about a freaking face plate like
and it looks very Roman gladiator, but I actually think the way that it's fused into the stormtrooper
yeah.
helmet, the way it cuts off right here, I think the faceplate could be from some Night Sister face mask or something like that, where like the mouth goes down, and maybe they just fit it to where it would be in a stormtrooper mask,
Yeah.
or a helmet. And yeah, he even tells Sabine, sends her on the howler, die well.
Here,
He's just so. This dude is hardcore. He's definitely like the pre-boss. He's the mini boss before Thrawn.
See if I can. I wanted to see if they would go and do a full close-up of him, but I don't think they will. But I mean, you see how he looks,
Yeah,
and I think he looks cool.
I like him. I don't mind at all. And you can see how close he's standing to Thrawn too. He's definitely respected.
Thrawn.
He's got his accolades.
Thrawn.
That was cool too. They're chanting it like I don't know if you've ever seen the Spider-Man Chronicles, but Mulgarath.
Yes.
Mulgarath, the book, and he's
give me the book.
Yeah. I didn't know that dude was also the old guy in the original Hulk movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's the whatever the absorbing man, I think it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that chanting was super cool. With just everything, the way they all
I was just getting so hyped too. I was like, Thrawn, Thrawn, Thrawn.
What an entrance!
I know.
He's got an entourage, a whole army entourage with him.
This man's got a hype crew with him.
Yeah.
No, I don't see the rest of y'all Imperial people getting hype crews. Y'all aren't doing good. Do better. The Stanleys, the music here is amazing. I agree. I thought the music here was like terrifying because it's just everything that's going on in this scene all together. Just you feel like more excited and just like, let's see his face now. Let's see it.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta go back to listen to the soundtracks because when I was watching for the first time, I personally didn't even immerse myself in like the music side of things to the scene right away because my eyes were so glued and 100% attention was just going to Thrawn, how he looks, how he's walking, how his mannerisms are.
Yeah.
It's eye candy.
I was so excited to see him. Sorry, I'm just like trying to. Where is my home slice? Where he at? We gotta skip ahead a little bit.
Oh, you're talking about the guy?
Yeah, I'm talking. You know who I'm talking about?
It's the guy.
It's the man.
I was kind of underwhelmed just a little bit.
I think there's some irony to the way they made Ezra look. Now, don't get me wrong. It's obvious that he's going to have facial hair. He's going to have grown, matured, whatever, because it's been several years. So that's not the part that I was like upset about. I think it's just I've seen people doing the whole like Aladdin meme online about the way he looks and stuff. And it's just the irony that they literally like there had been so many rumors of that guy getting cast.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't disappointed. Like it was like it's cool to see him, but I was really
Yeah.
just more so like, oh, this man's kind of chill now.
Yeah, that's I didn't know you were chill like that. But
Yeah,
but there are a combination of factors for me was I mean even when watching Rebels, Ezra wasn't my favorite character. I was more looking forward to seeing like the Kanan scenes and Zeb and Maul and like stuff like
yeah.
that. And Ezra's cool. He's a strong protagonist and all of that. I don't know, but just the way they introduced him, he's just like chilling with hermit crabs. Like it took you
Hey,
long
I
enough.
love
I'm
those
like,
hermit crabs.
hey, it's the guy. All right.
Yeah, I think it was kind of the. I think it was just kind of like the whole. It was just very much of a nonchalant, like, "Hey, it's been
Yeah.
several years. It's
And
good to see
even
you again. You're
and you even
here."
see like Sabine's hologram, I think on episode 1 or 2, of him like saying, yeah, I don't know. Oh, he's got the short hair, he's in the hologram.
The first episode, yeah.
Yeah, so he kind of gets like watered down over time, slowly losing
Yeah.
that immediate hype when you see him. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, we still were happy to see him.
Yeah.
I really do hope at some point, whether it be that they're doing a season 2 or they're going into a movie or whatever it be, that we do see Zeb show up, because I really did want to see him show up. I think it just kind of defeats the purpose of having a cameo of him in season 3 of Mando. They had him
Yeah.
there. They showed him. They got people, people were talking about it. They were, on the internet going like, is that who we think it is? And, they're thinking to themselves, hey, does that mean we're going to see him in Ahsoka? But
Yeah.
instead, we've seen, shoot, what's his face? The rebel pilot.
Yeah, Carson Tiva.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen Carson. And don't get me wrong, Carson's been very funny and entertaining. I think he's done a really good job. It's really
Yeah.
good seeing
He's
the
even in this
rebellion.
show too.
Yeah, it's good to
Yeah.
see him getting more involved. We get to kind of see the connections of like almost, I guess, in a sense, everyday normal people, kind of background characters
Mhm.
that are also helping the cause. Um but it's just, it sucks because it's like, hey, why you kind of debated us.
Yeah,
um
I mean, it was like like I said, it was a watered down thing for me. It was a whatever. It's cool that we got him, but my buddy Cody, the mall walker, he actually pointed out to me that if you look close, you can actually see like during the scenes he's got those 2 scars on his cheek from Rebels. So they kind of respected the continuity between how he looks for the most part, and I think the actor that portrays him is definitely a really good cast for Ezra.
mhm.
Beard and long hair or not.
I agree. I think Carson is gonna probably be Cara Dune's replacement. Especially because we saw him more involved in season 3 of Mando. And I think definitely we'll see him probably be more involved. I'm so sorry, I don't remember the planet that they were on in season 3, with Grief Karga and stuff.
Oh,
Um,
Navarro.
yeah, sorry, Navarro. Um, I think we'll definitely see him probably kind of start to go between there, helping with Mando, helping with Grief Karga, helping
Yeah,
kind of around there, doing that portion of the galaxy or whatever, and
that's a
also play a bigger role with Harrison Dula and stuff.
yeah. I mean, this is just it's really unfortunate. It's a controversial thing because I mean, every time I see Cara Dune come up, I immediately think of how Disney in real life messed up so bad by doing that. They, you know, political views aside, whatever, people in real life believe this is not their character. Do not take out a character that is still playing said character from an indifference you've had in corporate, right? That it's what it is robbing the fans. Because I want to see more Cara Dune. I loved seeing her in Mandalorian. She was awesome. She like fisticuffs Mando when they're all tied up and they're eating or drinking the tea or the spatchka or whatever it's called, and She's very imposing, but strong female character. Dare I say, whatever term that may bring up in people's heads, but it really is a slap in the face, like a slap in the face of Star Wars fans, seeing Carson Teva replacing Kara in, I guess, this sort of way, because I honestly want to see more of both. I like both of those characters, but I don't want to see one's end to bring more to another.
Yeah. I will say though, it definitely did kind of, and I think at least that it did screw over season 3 of Mando a little bit. I think that plus just a lot of other different factors delayed season 3. But also I think, when you watch season 3, don't get me wrong, like I liked season 3 of Mando, but you can tell there's a huge difference between that and the previous seasons.
There's a difference in quality. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even with Moff Gideon supposedly being the big baddie of the Mandoverse, I guess people are calling it. In season 3, he only gets introduced at the very end, the last 2 episodes, and then he's like, oh, he like steps back. He's like, no, and then he gets nose divin by the Imperial, the Star Destroyer flies right into him. Cool death, but to see Gideon just show up like, hello, goodbye, right away like that, it's kind of disrespectful, especially since Giancarlo Esposito's performance in season 1 and 2 was just awesome.
Yeah.
So and that's what I was kind of worrying about coming right out of season 3 and jumping into Ahsoka, because I mean, even them mentioning Thrawn, I'm like, holy crap, Thrawn? Are you kidding me? You're going to bring this dude into live action? This is a character known by many. He's in Rebels. He's in the X-Wing Rogue Squadron comic real quick. He is the heir to the Empire. Like, he's one of the main people. So he's a very respected character. He's very important to a lot of people. They don't want to see his role being changed in a way. He's very hyped up. So when you get through episodes 1 through 5 of Ahsoka and you just see him being introduced in 6, it kind of makes me worry just a little bit, because just like season 3 of Mando, we're getting introduced to him right at the end. But I mean, they're doing such a well job. Every single time he's on screen, he just steals it, just like Ray Stevenson. When those two guys are in a scene in Ahsoka, they just steal that whole scene.
Yeah.
But I'm really hoping this theoretical Filoni movie that comes out or whatever, Ahsoka's most likely introducing Thrawn now and setting him up for the show, and that's going to be like the Heir to the Empire movie, or however people are going to theorize that. But I just don't want to get him seen done dirty, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think so far they've done a really good job. Like, it's funny because for the last kind of first few episodes, they were a little bit shorter, but these last 3 episodes are actually starting to get longer, which I think is nice.
I'm hoping the finale is like an hour. We got a lot of questions.
Yeah, I think it's nice though, because even though Thrawn kind of sort of showed up a little more towards the middle / end of the episode, it still felt like there was plenty of screen time for him. It felt like we were still getting to see him and get introduced to a lot of stuff, and it was really neat to see him kind of put his plan into motion of like, okay, we're getting out of here, but I want you to make sure to keep an eye on Sabine. Y'all are going to go follow her, and y'all are going to make sure they aren't getting off this planet.
Yeah, I mean, he's really got a plan B for his plan B.
Yeah.
And that's just how he is in Rebels too. He's very calculated. And we won't get into see episode 7 right now, but there's a thing like that about his personality that I wanted to mention about his plan Bs. But just the whole, he's so cold. Like, he knows that Morgan Elsbeth hired mercenaries to assist him, but he doesn't need them. I mean, he gives Sabine a fighting chance, and maybe he's there, maybe he's not. But I will warn you, the only way off this planet is my ship, and if you're not back in time, It is what it is. Then he sends mercenaries after her, and he says to Morgan, "Hey, Balin's gonna tie up the loose ends. But if they're not back either, it is what it is. I don't need
Yeah.
them." He's
It's kind
cold.
of a it's funny because this is gonna go in episode 7 too, which I'm gonna point out one thing. I do really like the transition from episode 6 to 7. It really just dives right in.
Yeah,
So overall, this is kind of nice that I'm doing this with these 2 episodes together because it kind of goes hand in hand. But yeah, like in 7, we also kind of see Thrawn kind of just go like every man for himself almost, basically, but he's going to be the man on top. He's
yeah.
the one who's the most prepared.
It's
These people don't really realize that they're being baited.
it's very, if you're not with me, you're against me.
Yeah. Do
And
you think Thrawn knows what or who Balin is looking for?
I was
I
just
don't
reading
even
that.
know. I don't even know still. And that was something that I will say in 7 I thought was interesting. We're kind of going backwards a little, but this is towards the end where he sees that Ahsoka's coming in. She's made it. She's here on this planet. Spoiler alert if y'all haven't seen it. And Sabine and Ezra are in the middle of a fight. Obviously, they kind of realize that they're being watched and they're being followed. And Balin is nowhere to be found, and Thrawn starts to realize that. Thrawn basically has this map like of everyone, so he knows his squad, and he points out something. He's like, we're missing a mercenary.
Yeah,
We're missing Balin.
that's what I wanted to address about his plan Bs for his plan Bs.
Yeah.
He didn't account for Balin bailing, on
Mm-hmm.
their attack.
Right.
But he was like, no biggie. We still have time on our side. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no problem. And do you think Thrawn knows what Balin is looking for? I don't. I'm with Lane. I don't know if he knows, but what I do know is that Balin doesn't necessarily care what Thrawn has to offer at all. Balin's merely using Thrawn as a scapegoat to his power that
Own
he's
plan.
seeking.
His
Yeah,
own plan. And it's interesting because it's like I really don't want to see them kill off Balin because I've loved seeing his character so
yeah,
much. But I'm also of the opinion that I really do miss Ray Stevenson so dearly. He did such an amazing job with this character. And I just it's kind of like other movies and other characters have gone where it's like should they continue his story? Should they recast him? Should they
yeah.
just make mere mention of him? Is this just going to be something that doesn't happen? Because of course they didn't plan for this to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I was at London Celebration and this dude was on stage. It feels way
Yeah.
too soon. That if had I known this would happen, I would have shouted, "Filoni, let him say something!" Let him spoil something because when all those cast members were up on the panel, he's like eyeballing down, like, "Don't you say a thing," and it made it really awkward because they had no idea what to talk about. But yeah, just like you said, ditto. Balin steals the scene. He played Gar Saxon in the Clone Wars, but to see his actual like face in the acting, and yeah, I think something like a mere mention would be okay, but recasting, no. I will always see Balin Skull as Ray Stevenson, so that's like reserved for that character.
Yeah.
Kind of like Anakin Skywalker. I mean, it would be nice to see like Matt Lanter portray him, but the face of Anakin Skywalker's got to be Hayden.
Yeah.
Unless you can pull some magic, like finding someone like Ewan McGregor that has an insane likeness to Alec Guinness. I think that's how you could pull it off, like kind of like Sebastian Stan with Luke Skywalker being a young version of him. I think
Yeah.
that would do justice, but it's not the original guy. I mean, Balin, that's Ray Stevenson.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk about this because we're actually starting to see Coruscant come back again. We saw it in Mando season 3, which I will say was probably one of my favorite parts of season 3. Seeing them kind of go back and forth when they were going back and forth between what was happening with Mando, and then also
The
it was
Empire, yeah.
interesting, yeah, because we got to see the Doctor again, which I thought was cool. We got to see the one Imperial soldier. I'm so sorry, I forgot her name.
It's Gideon's
Like right
right?
hand,
Yeah.
yeah. We get to see her, which I thought was interesting. It like I don't know. I just think it's cool seeing them expand on that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah.
kind of the question of what's going on in Coruscant.
Well, it's world building is what it is. Like I mean
Right.
that Dr. Pershing's arc and stuff was pretty cool, but you know, I seen it. I don't need to go back anytime soon to read watch it again, you know. I mean even like elements of uh episode 6, like the Howler stuff, that was cutesy. Seeing the hermit crabs, I feel like we need to see this world building. It's important. But I don't need to go back and watch it anytime soon. It wasn't the meat and potatoes for me, you know.
Something I thought that was cool about Coruscant that they mentioned in season 3 was when Dr. Pershing they go to visit the mountain peak for Coruscant, because
Oh yeah, yeah.
I kept sitting there thinking like, okay, are they expanding on Coruscant, like on the lore of Coruscant? Because I know when the Empire came to take over, there's a whole actual like underworld on
Oh yeah.
Coruscant.
I mean, this has been fleshed out in the Clone Wars before even any of that.
Right.
And you see Jedi Survivor. You're like the very beginning of the game is Coruscant. You can
Mm-hmm.
look up in like basically in real life where the stars would be. That's the ceiling of Coruscant.
Right.
Like there was supposed to be a whole game 1313 where you're like Boba Fett like doing missions, and that would have been so cool. But it
I
got
just sit there
canceled.
and think, are they gonna? Well, I just sit there and think, like, do you think they're gonna explore that at some point? Like, is it possible that that underworld, you know, when they were talking about that mountain peak, is there a possibility that all of those Imperial remnants are actually underneath Coruscant?
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in Kenobi is the only show that we didn't see something new about Coruscant. Because I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
had it in Andor, they had it in Mando, they have it in this, uh, and with the Book of Boba. I mean, even just counting like of Order 66 flashback is technically it too. Um, so yeah, they like showing Coruscant, and I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to head down something like that.
Well, like I say that because with episode 7, I gotta bring up Disney Plus again, because this is something that really stuck with me when Thrawn was talking, and it was when Ahsoka first started to show up to the planet, and he's talking to, I think he was talking to Morgan. It was either Morgan or the Great Mothers, and he says, "Oh, let me see if I can find it. Hold on."
Stanley says Senator Giano calling out C-3PO, just another droid, and Chopper
We
is
got.
ready to throw hands.
Oh,
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, Chopper's always like ready to fight
can I
when
just
any of his
say
friends.
that this is another thing I wanted to talk about too before I bring up the scene, was the fact that they showed C-3PO.
Oh,
First of all, I
last
was
thing I was
very
expecting.
excited.
Yeah,
I was very excited because that was something I really didn't truly expect, and I think that was something probably a lot of people didn't expect.
he's Anthony Daniels
Um,
as well.
I know, I was like, ah. But also it's the fact that they're getting Leia more involved. They made mention of her in episode 5, or was it 6? It might have been 6. No, it was 5. I don't know.
They name dropped. Yeah, they
They
name
name
dropped
dropped
her.
her, and then they name dropped her again with this, because C-3PO is like, Senator Leia Organa sent
Yeah,
me.
she cleared it. She cleared the thing. Yeah.
And I
Um,
think it's really cool that
did you
they're bringing her into this
did you
a little
notice
bit.
that C-3PO didn't have a silver leg?
Yes.
I said it during the watch party because even in Revenge of the Sith, that's when he gets his gold plating.
Mhm.
Um, but it still wouldn't make sense of the time period because in A New Hope, and Return of the Jedi. Like he's got the silver leg still, and in between the sequels, you know, before he gets his red arm in the comic books, he's still got a silver leg. So I'm wondering, was that like a little hiccup in the costume
Hiccup, or
design?
maybe it's just kind of one of those like, oh, I don't know. If he's with Leia frequently, I wouldn't really be surprised if he's getting like fixed or like change. Like I don't
Well
know.
then, if he gets it changed, then like he would have to put the silver leg back on because he's always seen with it
I don't
after
know.
A New Hope.
It didn't really bother me too much. I was
Oh, it
just
didn't
really
bother
more,
me. That was just like a little like, why did they do
yeah.
that?
It's just more of like I'm too excited about seeing 3PO and Hera going 3PO, and I'm just
See,
like,
being 3PO.
yes.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
Also seeing Mon Mothma again in person this time, and
Yeah.
I love
Um,
seeing her involved in Star Wars so much more now.
yeah, she was one of those bonus kind of characters. Just being like a background uh shoot, I'm forgetting the name of it. Yavin 4, when they're at
Mhm.
like the little temple, like the temple meeting and stuff. She's just like in the background. On the Mon Calamari, ship, like the cruiser and Return of the Jedi, I think she's in there too in that meeting. The
She's in
Force
quite a few.
Unleashed.
Yeah,
She's in a lot of like side stuff too, in some of the
yeah.
books. But like, yeah, like you were saying, to put her more in the limelight is pretty dope.
And I mean, I guess it makes sense because of Andor with Rogue One, her being in that and stuff. But them having that opportunity to bring Genevieve O'Reilly back and actually dive more into Mon Mothma,
Yeah,
as senator, and also just kind of exploring like what are her morals behind this? Why is it that she seems to be the one to help but no one else does?
yeah, and she's the
Does
new
she really
chancellor
care?
too.
Yeah, and it is interesting to see her more involved, but I'm not complaining at all because I love her.
Yeah,
I just
I prefer her to the old Mon Mothma, and that's just because she's got more screen time. She's fleshed out. Um, but yeah, I mean, Senator Giano calling 3PO out. I think the actor that played Giano, like on that Senate committee, like voting, like this is an outrage. Like, why are we?
think he's in
Why
the
are we listening?
live action Mulan if I remember right.
Possibly, but dude, the actor did a fantastic job of playing a character that everybody, like all the fans, can mutually see him and hate.
Yeah.
He's a very hateable character. I think he did that super
I
well.
object.
Yeah, and then he kind of eats his words. I mean, they're even during that hologram before
Is
they go to
it
the other world. He's like he says something, and then Hera's like, "Is that what you did? You
is
just
it
sat back and you
horrible of
watched?"
me to say
So
that
satisfying.
I don't want to make this into a bad thing, and I just mean this because it was just really like it was just the way he kept saying objection. For some reason, I kept thinking of Amber Heard's lawyer during the Johnny Depp trial.
Hearsay. Touch.
Yeah, like
Here's a
it's
hearsay.
just every time he said objection, I was like, I just
Yeah,
kept laughing, but I don't know. But it was great. It was just I loved seeing him. It was just so
it
funny.
it was his voice lines and his mannerisms that just made it real fun when he got made fun of and called out on his crap.
You're good,
Oh,
Charlie. It's totally fine.
real good, man.
You're all good. I
Play some
promise.
pool.
Woo! um, what was it that oh yeah, I wanted to point this out because maybe like I don't really know why this is necessarily an Easter egg because I feel like this should have been something that's already kind of obvious, which was fixing her timeline. Um, basically Carson Teva makes mention during like Hera's court martial, makes mention of Moff Gideon. Um, and so it's kind of like a hint of where they're supposed to be at. So it's obviously after season 3.
Yep.
Um, I'm just going to assume that it's fairly recent after season 3. And I think it kind of should be obvious that it is because the last time we saw Carson Teva was when he was in the little like bar, like whatever it was, when we see Zeb. at the end of season 3 of Mando.
Yeah, the little beach droid head helmet bar.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really know why this is an Easter egg, because for me, I kind of already knew that the show was starting
Yeah,
after that.
no, I think you're right. I think it's definitely like right after Mando season 3, because if they're on the committee and they're referencing Gideon, if Gideon's old news, why even bring him up? You know, if they're gonna bring up
Yeah.
old news, they'd bring up the original Empire. They'd bring up all of this, you know, and they just name dropped him like that. So I
I
think
miss
those events are pretty recent.
I think they were doing that also because he was trying to help Hera when she was trying to make her point of like, hey, like obviously the Empire is coming back,
Yeah.
and we see it when we saw, like, obviously Moff Gideon's, news of him has made waves. So
I mean, they even arrested that dude that was like, "Long live the Empire!" You know, he was working up there with
yeah,
those red droids.
I mean,
So the Empire is still very real.
I don't
And
know.
what was the shoot? I think oh yeah, Mon Mothma goes up to Hera and she even asks her like, "So this Thrawn thing, how big of a threat is it
Yeah,
truly?"
and it was like we need to prepare for the worst and hope for the best,
Yeah,
because it's very likely that if he shows up, he's gonna make waves, and that
yeah,
is something I wanted to bring up too.
yeah. Senators don't believe me. You know, I gotta have that in the back pocket just in case. She's smart.
Yeah. And yeah, Stanley, that was, voting on a military decision when Leia was the leader of the defense committee. So I don't know. Yeah, it says right here, she's leader of the defense council, meaning she's political oversight over the New Republic military. So I'm almost wondering, if that happens, would they bring Leia back, like as a recast, or kind of like what they did with Luke in Mando?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a dark rabbit hole. I mean, touching on what we were talking about earlier with Ray Stevenson, you know, if the recast is inevitable, you know, deep fakes or insanely close likeness of characters is pretty
I
much
will
going to be
say
the
her
only way to tell.
daughter too looks just like her, so
Yeah, but I mean, you can still notice that it is her.
right. Oh, driving, listening. Would die by Chopper. Yeah, Chopper was so upset. I was like, yeah. He's like, why are we listening to a droid? And I'm like, because it's 3PO, first of all.
Yeah, that dude's been through a lot, even his memory wipe.
Yeah. I will say too, this part I did not expect. The Anakin showing up in this one. I thought it was really cool to see all the to see the holo vid. Yeah, and she was like talking to Hu Yang, and she's like, I got 20 of these. And it's cool. Like
Play them all.
Yeah, come on, let's watch them.
See, I knew that when we got episode 5 in the Clone Wars flashback that we didn't get the trailer audio, because there is a trailer for Ahsoka where there is Anakin giving guidance to Ahsoka. She's like, remember your training, do all this.
And it was this.
We didn't hear that in the show. So I'm like, oh, is he going to be there more Anakin? And then it starts off with the camera angle is her training, but it's just like his legs out of frame, and then he walks into the camera. Like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
I was like,
And
we got him back.
He's got his Clone Wars armor, and this goes right underneath that number 8 is references of Grievous, Count Dooku, Asajj Ventress.
Yeah.
This has been, he's in his Clone Wars armor. He recorded this a while ago, because all 3 of those villains from the Clone Wars have been dead for quite some time.
Well, she mentions to Hu Yang, she said it was the last one that he ever recorded for her.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there thinking to myself, and funny that you mention it. Here you go.
Yeah.
I was just sitting there thinking, like, oh, please, I would love to see a flashback of like her. Like, obviously, we already have seen him with the flashback of him as Vader between Vader and Anakin and stuff.
Yeah.
But it would just be so cool to see that one fight between her young Ahsoka and him as Vader, where she just and she sees his
from Rebels.
face. Yes,
Yeah.
it would
Well,
have
I mean,
been
we
so
pretty much
cool.
got that with Kenobi too. You know,
I
I am
know,
very fine with that.
but I wanted to see it from Ahsoka's point of view.
But Asajj Ventress, first mention of Asajj Ventress in live action anything. I mean,
That
she's
too, yes.
huge in the Clone Wars, both versions of Clone Wars, and he's doing that Hollow video, and he's got the scar that
Mm-hmm.
Asajj gave him. It's ironic.
Hold on, let me find this really fast. Give me 1 second. I gotta find this so badly because this is something that just absolutely made me go cray cray. See if I can find it.
I don't know if we talked about it on when we did your live for episode 5, but the fact that when I was in London and Hayden was signing this and knew that he would already be in the Clone Wars just makes that story all the more cooler. I know Charlie's probably smiling right now, but man, that's the thing. That's the thing I was going for, and it's in the show. Little did I know it would happen. Man, my childhood fulfilled.
I think I found it. So I found that. Yay, good. Okay. So this is something that kind of sparked my interest, and it was a conversation that Morgan was having with Thrawn when she was handing him the database to look at Ahsoka's stuff.
Yeah.
Just pay attention.
The master was General Anakin Skywalker.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're certain there's only the one starship?
So my question is, why did he ask that?
Because, well, first of all, he knows who Anakin Skywalker is. He knows the inevitability of becoming Vader.
Right.
So I'm thinking in Thrawn's head, he's testing all the variables of what could happen. And he knows that Anakin Skywalker is a very unpredictable Jedi and could bring backup to a stealth mission. So him asking Captain Enoch, are you sure she's coming alone? There's only one starship. Not that Ahsoka shows up with like a mini armada to take out his fresh army that he's loading up these caskets onto his ship, because he's testing out those variables and seeing is this going to be a bigger fight than I want it to be? Did I not predict this as well as I should have? So.
Okay. Yeah, because I was sitting in my head thinking, like, he mentioned Anakin Skywalker, but then he mentioned, are you sure there's only one person there? And I'm sitting there in my head thinking, okay, last time I remember, if they're really gonna go like hardcore with legend stuff, he was looking for Luke at the same time as this happening. Like right around, like if they're saying this takes place after Mando season 3 and Thrawn is back.
Well, Legends has no recollection of Thrawn being sent to an alternate galaxy.
Right.
Because it's, new and fresh to the story. But, I wouldn't be surprised given the time period.
Right.
Because after Return of the Jedi in EU is a New Jedi Order. That's Luke building his, a temple.
And we saw that.
Yeah, that's the dealio with Mara Jade that gets into the Yuzang Vong. That's a cascading different arc,
I only ask because it seems like so far they've kind of pick and choose what they've decided is going into the shows, and that's why I ask, because it seems like because it seems like they've been doing a mixture of both. they've been doing kind of what's considered like a main arc or what's canon or whatever, but now they're starting to kind of go into Legends content more.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, there's so many different theories that are running through my head, Ahsoka knows Luke, so she knows where he's at.
Yeah.
Thrawn is now back, and I guarantee you he's not just gonna be going after Ahsoka and Sabine and Ezra. He's going after everyone. So I mean, just when he says when he hears that name of Anakin Skywalker, he's probably thinking to himself, am I gonna have a harder time than I thought?
Yeah. He knows how unpredictable he is. He goes off on his own path.
I don't know, but I'm excited.
Yep.
I'm excited to see what happens because so far these episodes have not disappointed at all.
Left with open doors because we still have what's going to happen to Balin. Like, what's this power? We got one episode to find out what this power is and if it's truly worth it. How is Thrawn going to be set up for this potential movie? How is that going to be ended? Where Ahsoka's going to go? And what's going to happen to Shin and Ezra? I mean, there's a lot of main character dead walls here. So.
Sorry, I'm looking at a thing. This actually did kind of not didn't really cross my mind at first. But I actually did notice it in the episode. So when Sabine and Ezra were talking, of course it's been like years, so Ezra obviously doesn't know like a lot of stuff that's happened. And he was asking Sabine about it, and he kind of asked about like what happened to the Empire and stuff, so he learns that they're defeated and whatnot. But if I remember, he asked about Emperor Palpatine. He asked if he died.
Oh, I can't remember what the conversation was between them.
Let me see if I can pull that up. I remember I remember what part of the like episode it's referencing. I'm just trying to remember where. Let's see if I can find it.
What if they, Ahsoka, latch onto the Chimera like it's a Millennium Falcon and does the like the Millennium Falcon does on the Imperial Star Destroyer on Empire? Possibly. I have no idea how else they would get over to that alternate galaxy, unless they somehow purgle back to where they got to go. But that's kind of unreliable, unpredictable. I should say, not unreliable. And who knows? That's just one of the many questions that kind of lie with this last episode. Is like how they're going to get back. What are the fates of these characters? I'm all ears. I'm a big fan of finales, and if they're doing Thrawn as well as they're doing it now, and we're gonna get more Thrawn in this last episode, it's hard not to be excited to see more of that. Lars Mikkelsen is a legend, and Sabine says that's the rumor. Yeah, I mean Sabine and Ezra's arc to me too in Ahsoka is kind of meh. I don't know. It's cutesy. And, if you're a hardcore Rebels fan, you're probably like, oh, I don't know. It's just not really for me. But when they did that cool thing with the beetle pods from the hermit crabs, they did a real life tactic that prey use to get away from predators, I guess, in the wild. Is like you form that barrier circle, keep all the important stuff on the inside. And yeah, that's when Ahsoka's fighting Balin.
Okay, I found it. I finally found it. I knew it was here. Okay. Okay. Let me see. Pull it up. Uh, so basically, they're having a conversation, kind of just as they're like just hanging out. Let me see if I can rewind it a little. So basically, this is what he says.
I'm still trying to process everything you told me. The Empire was defeated.
Battle of Endor.
The Emperor died.
That's what people say.
So this is basically the line that they use, and this is just what I've seen like from a lot of like reviews and Easter eggs, is that this is the line that's being used to connect to the what we shall not call. Yeah. Basically the whole idea of Palpatine returning.
You know, that's it's the whole thing is just like stabbing yourself in the foot because it's inevitable. It's going to happen. They're going to try to connect the sequels to this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hoping it's just like a rip off the Band-Aid moment. Maybe a cool send off or something with Thrawn because he can't be there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I will say it doesn't really bother me too much. I didn't pay too much attention to it at first. I knew it was mentioned in the episode. It was just kind of one of those things where it was like, okay, well, she's obviously just catching him up to speed because it's been several years.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know that they basically won the battle, the bigger battle.
And she's like, that's what they say. I don't know if that's supposed to be taken sense of literal because she didn't witness Palpatine die. You know,
yeah.
Everything just kind of went good.
Yeah. So. I mean, it was just kind of one of those things that was mentioned. Yeah. But overall, I don't think there's any more things that I need to cover on Easter eggs. Anything you want to start to close out with your final thoughts and reviews on 6 and 7?
So far really good. I mean, like I said, Thrawn and Balin steal the scenes anytime they're in it, and guaranteed knowing we're going to get them in this last episode in the finale is just making me excited to see more of that. See how everything gets set up for the future, see how everything could potentially end for these characters, some of them. Who knows? But a standstill moment for me was when you see Ahsoka do a reverse Qui-Gon Jinn and she combat rolls out of a moving T6. And she gears up. She actually puts her poncho on because, you know, the Jedi thing that they do, like they mad dog each other, and before they fight, they take off their cloaks and they go, you know, they ignite. She's like, all right, just get ready to pick me up, whatever. She puts on her cloak and just jumps out of the ship. Combat rolls down.
I will say Hu Yang and their banter on episode 7 was some of my favorite because she was just like, she's like, you messed up the timing, and he was like, and he's like, and I told you, he's like, and I felt really bad about it, or I couldn't stop feeling bad about it, or whatever, and she's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah, I forget when, but within these 2 episodes, Ahsoka was gaslighting Hu Yang, like she was joking, yeah. And then David Tennant's, you know, Hu Yang mannerism was like. And then he like squints, and then she's smiling, and she's like doing one of these.
That happened in episode 7 too. Is like prior to that, it was
the minefield right before they land on the rib.
Yeah. She was like something like you should have told me this would happen, and he's like, I did. And he looked at her and he was like,
she's smiling. She's like, I got you.
Or no, you should have said something sooner. I did. Wait.
Yeah, I mean, and during that fight too, he's doing like a patrol kind of gunship move where he's looking down at the, you know, the beetle car fights, the night troopers being tanked, and you see Hu Yang. It's like, oh, and they're all back together again. How quaint, or something like that. So, yeah, I enjoy it.
I'm really excited for this finale. My theory, sort of going into it, is that it's probably going to end up being a cliffhanger. That's just me.
Probably, as long as it sets up for something like the movie, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
complain.
yeah. I'm not saying that as a bad thing. That's just my theory is that, with how episode 7 went, with kind of the back and forth between Hera and the Senate, kind of discussing it, and Mon Mothma kind of going like, okay, we need to start, how bad is this kind of thing?
Yeah.
And with Thrawn gearing up to get ready to leave and stuff, I do think this is going to be a cliffhanger, but I think it's going to be a pretty great finale.
Hopefully
So I'm excited.
Hopefully some stories either continue or end in some cool way. We'll find out. I
Hoping
would
Zed's
be,
going to show up.
I would be pretty confident in saying Thrawn's not the big baddie of Ahsoka. I think Balin and Shin are like these sub bosses before Thrawn gets set up for something like the movie.
They're working for someone else.
Because he's definitely he's a hyped up character. I mean, as soon as they mention him in Mando season 2, she's dueling the Magistrate Morgan Elsbeth. Where's your master? Where's Grand Admiral Thrawn? Boom! The markets went green. Every single action figure, comic book, whatever, you name it that involved Thrawn, prices went up. And man, like I said before, I don't want to see him get done dirty because he's a very important character to people.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm excited. And we're getting Loki season 2 on Thursday. Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
That's a different can of worms, different universe.
Different universe, but we're gonna focus on Star Wars. I hope y'all enjoyed tonight's discussion. We're probably gonna be back again on next Sunday, most likely. I just have to see how busy I am this week, really. Stay tuned for that. We hope you guys enjoyed, and if you haven't already watched the show, please do. And prepare yourselves. Prepare yourselves for the final episode, episode 8. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. I mean, even when we were there at Celebration, Rosario Dawson's up on stage. Come on, guys, vote for a season 2. She already knows what happened.
She knew
before the show even came out. So I mean, it's gonna be good. Whatever's up ahead. So
freaking excited. We hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you all on the next one. Bye, everyone.
Peace.